Well, we are now broadcasting
Yay.
Rock.
and we're live. So, hello everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play Root, the role playing game.
Woo!
Yay!
Yay!
Yay.
I am Christiana Ellis, and I am the game master. Our players tonight: Paul Weimer as Arbon Ironwing,
Fallen Eerie Dynasty houses here break my heart.
Nobilis as Lancelot Vent,
Hi there.
Jason Banks as Clem Sparrow,
Not every town we have to assassinate someone in.
Well, it's largely on a case by case basis, namely how many places you take on a job to kill someone in. Yeah. Nigel Farnboot, played by David Archambault.
Well, I know what we need to do, but it's not going to be easy and it is not going to be cheap.
And last but not least, Lee Burdett, playing Peppa Pika.
Also called Lady Not Appearing in this VOD.
Not on camera, in any case.
Yes. I am participating but not appearing.
So, when last we left our vagabonds, they had traveled north from Sundell to the town of Patchwood and discovered several things about this particular location. One is that the farmland nearby is currently suffering from a crop blight that they are struggling to contain, and they are very concerned that they may lose their entire harvest because they're having to try to burn away the contaminated portions. After doing some investigation, Nigel has discovered a method of chemically treating this blight, but it requires a variety of chemical compounds in industrial quantities if the farmland is to be saved. And, for just a gang of vagabonds, those are not necessarily easy to come by. Also in this town is the Marquisate control. This is the first clearing that you've been in that is controlled by the Marquisate. Although the Marquisate is currently on their back foot in this war, dealing with the crop blight, dealing with their fortification having been blown up by the Corvid conspiracy. Variety of other misfortunes have got them a little bit spread thin at the moment. There is also here in town several clumps of trees right in the center of town, remnants of when this area used to be under the control of the Erie dynasties, and several of the old Erie noble houses up in the tops of those trees have not been well maintained, and so it seems like there might be some discussion in town about what might need to be done about that, if anything. But in the meantime, we left off last time with everyone reconvening at the little inn where you're staying out just outside of town. Vagabonds, what would you like to do?
I would like to state for the record that I have not killed anybody yet.
I think,
Today.
Today.
well, if we're going to have a discussion of killing and death, this inn is not the locale to have that discussion. I give a glance.
No, I figured we were in private.
Yeah, you could be up in your room.
Yeah.
Although you did get 2 rooms, so are you?
I think we're all crammed into one room for
Yeah.
the powwow.
Yeah. So, how about see what we can do about this blight? Because, I mean, yeah, it's putting the Marquisate on its back foot, but it's also going to mean suffering for a lot of people.
Good hearty denizens of
Yeah.
Patchwood.
So we've got something of a solution. I'd love to be able to try to make some difference on that.
Yes, if
And
we
then
can get
maybe parlay that into a meeting with the Count and kind of take his measure.
yes,
see if he needs killing or not.
Yeah.
if we can get lime and sulfuric acid, we can
And
a
copper.
lot of both. We can mix them to make a treatment.
Right. So do we want to like assemble the ingredients ourselves and convince Sun Farmer to treat their fields as a demonstration? Or
Like
do
a
we
test
want to
case.
try and recruit someone to convince them to do? Yeah.
Christiana, do we know how long? I forgot how long has this blight been going on?
So it's been a couple of weeks since they discovered it, but it has been spreading rapidly since then.
Okay.
So that's the case there. In terms of several more weeks is going to represent, if not a total loss, then at least a substantially larger volume of the farmland is going to be gone the longer time passes.
Yeah.
And I think that Miss Millie wouldn't be against us using the treatment on her farm. She seems to be the most reasonable of the people we've met thus far, or at least
Yeah.
that I've met.
So why don't we see about trying to obtain these materials,
Farm-sized amount.
or at least organizing it?
Yes, and
The thing is, I haven't got the foggiest idea where to look for some of this stuff.
well, I believe sulfuric acid can be used as part of etching metal
Mm-hmm.
in blacksmithing. So
A
that's where I
blacksmith
would
may
look
have
for
some. Got
that.
it. What about lime?
Well, there's a lot of farmers who use that. We could see if anyone has an excess amount. Because a lot of times lime is used with fertilizers or
To treat the
clearing
soil.
off things and stuff like that.
And I imagine farmers wouldn't mind opening up their stores to cure the blight if that's
Um,
what it takes.
I think we'll probably have to pay our way for this at least test amount.
Oh yes.
And
Or do some favors.
Or do something. Yeah. Well, yeah, it could be in coin or in some other medium. So lime, sulfuric acid, those are the any main ingredients we're missing.
So copper.
Copper. All right.
Yeah, basically, yeah, you
Copper.
use the sulfuric acid and the copper to make copper sulfate, and then
Oh,
the
yeah.
copper
Okay.
sulfate and the lime to make this. You mix those with water, and then you need a way to to disperse
Spread
it.
it.
Now, if you're making a small amount, then it's comparatively easy to disperse it in a small area. But certainly, if you're
Yeah.
going to be treating entire fields, you would probably need some kind of like a sprayer.
Yeah.
well,
Well,
they have the sawmill. I could probably fashion a pump of some sort or sprayer from parts from over there, seeing as it's not being used, and until they get the blight under control, it's probably not going to be. I was told that's why they
Let's-
shut down fixing it.
let's focus on the chemicals first. And then once we've
Yes.
got the stuff, we can look into obtaining a sprayer.
Now
Um,
we could look around and see if there's any miners, given the proximity to.
Well, so Iron Vein was the previous town that you had encountered mines in, but there's also a mine in Fire
Fire
Hollow.
Hollow.
Yeah.
Fire hollow. I mean, if there's no good quantities of sulfuric acid here, then
Now
or,
that
or copper, then we might have to make a trip to Fire Hollow to get those. Well, we should look around here first, I think.
yeah,
and-
I think that you believe that if what you're looking for first is just enough to make a small amount as kind of a proof of principle,
Mhm.
to perhaps induce investment from others in a larger scheme, you think that you probably would be able to get enough. Like, if you can find a source, you don't need large amounts of it to do that first
Okay.
Yeah.
test case.
So we're gonna find
I-
sources.
And Clem says, and I have a small sample that I took from Miss Millie's farm. So we have the subject for the test.
Well, it's not a living plant. That's
Yeah,
gonna be,
there's a difference between trying something in a tube and trying it on an actual living plant.
I don't
Well-
think anybody's gonna be terribly impressed because by the time the stuff works, your plant will be dead, so.
Well, what you could potentially use that sample for, though, is when Nigel went through his books looking for, and he found
Yeah.
the paper where someone had described this procedure. There were sketches of the blight that was being treated in that case, so you could show that it's the same.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, maybe,
That said, samples of the blight in this town are easy
are
to
not
come
hard.
by at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
so,
if we have to go to Fire Hollow, how do you
Here,
think
let
we
me-
can get there and back quickly enough?
So I'm just pulling up the map really quick here, just so we can look at this. There is a path from Patchwood to Fire Hollow. One of the other things that you had heard, though, just in various little bits of gossip, is that yet another one of the Marquesate's current troubles is that there was a cave-in their mine in Fire Hollow.
Oh, never rains but pours for them.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, they're having a rough go of it right now, for sure.
As told by the all-powerful GM last time, they were just getting terrible rolls.
Happens sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Like when you roll a roll a roll a 2 when you're trying to meet someone important
Yeah.
or charm someone.
Oh yeah, I know that feel.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
certainly not mentioned in our previous recap is that the only member of your party so far to have met this count that you have agreed to assassinate for the Corvid conspiracy, or at least in principle, you told them that you would. The conversation didn't go great, and you were basically asked firmly to stay out of the way.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
you're not being arrested or anything. There's not any hostility, but they're basically asking you, don't cause chaos or else we know you're here. And if there's
Right.
chaos, we know where to look.
And Clem actually brings that up. He says, well, it doesn't sound like they want our help. So if this does work, how are they going to receive it?
They probably won't receive it very well. Though,
No, especially for a group of vagabonds to do what they could not.
well, they do know that that I offered, and I offered to, offered our assistance.
That was before you knew that there was an actual thing to be done, though. You were kind of offering just sort of on general
Oh.
principles. You hadn't
Yeah.
found the chemical solution yet.
Yeah, true.
We could go and ask Miss Millie if she has any lime or maybe some old, or we could see if someone has any, say, old piping or old.
Why don't we start asking around and see if we can just locate these things and then worry about obtaining them later. So, yeah,
sure-
I think it's
So,
time to go around. What time of day is it now?
Well, it's nighttime. You guys,
Yeah.
you sort of had your full day, and then
Right.
All right, so how about we, I mean, I know that time is of the essence, but I'm not sure we'll be able to accomplish much now. Maybe we should go around in the morning?
Yes.
Make an
Oh,
early
that
start
sounds
of it.
good.
I'm sure the farmers will be up early, especially if they're still checking on the spread of the blight.
I think we should probably split up and try to get all three of the ingredients as fast as possible. The sulfuric
Yeah.
acid, the copper, and the lime, and so then we can work on this because it is spreading like wildfire. So dilly dallying will not do
Yeah.
anybody. any good.
Speaking of which, even when you look out your window here in the inn, you can see just in the distance some of the fields have smoldering areas where they've been trying to burn away the infected parts of the field.
I think the first places we should look is Miss Millie, seeing as she's probably the nicest person towards us currently. And whoever owns or whoever's in charge of the sawmill, because if that acid is used for etching metal, if you were to happen to want to make new saw blades, you might have some around.
I mean, it's conceivable. I don't
Unless
know
we can find,
myself, but
unless we can find a blacksmith.
There's gotta be a blacksmith in this town.
right. But
Oh,
how
yes,
many
I-
blacksmiths decorate things that way? I mean, it's well, it's worth asking around.
Yes, I know where the blacksmith is.
So,
I walk
Um,
past down my way.
Yeah. So sulfuric acid is also something that, in theory, can be manufactured from elemental sulfur.
Yeah. But
But
that's
So-
yeah, it's not a guarantee that a blacksmith would necessarily have those things. But
okay. So yeah. Get the.
all right,
That's what we'll do tomorrow then.
all right. So
Yep.
is everybody turning in for the night?
yeah, I think we
Yeah.
are. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. I think if since you're all staying comfortably in an inn, I believe that you can clear one exhaustion for that.
Uh,
I don't know if you all
I don't
have,
think any of us
have
have
very
any.
much at the moment. You know, you took your time traveling in,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we have a few depletion, but no exhaustion.
yeah. Well, if you had any, you could do that. But so in any case, in fact, actually, let's see. In fact, actually, one night here would allow you to clear 2 exhaustion. So
Nice.
for future reference. Okay.
No.
So, in the morning, you are, awakened by, light starting to peek in through the shutters. There's kind of in the morning air. There's sort of a hovering smell of smoke on the air.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep, let's break our fast and get to it.
yep.
Yes, and I
am.
will head towards the blacksmith.
So I think as you all head down to the common room, there's some freshly baked bread with some butter nearby
Nice.
that has been provided by Luciana. That is, you get one hunk and as much butter as she puts on it for you
Yes.
for the price of the meal. You can pay more for extra.
No, that will be sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's got some apples too.
Hmm.
Probably just set out for people. But so in the meantime, Nigel's heading to the blacksmith. Anyone else going with him?
Uh,
I'll accompany Nigel.
Okay.
okay. Yeah. Nigel. Yeah, gets into trouble.
Yeah. alright.
I was gonna say I should come along and do the talking, but okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly if there's like trading post, general store, that kind of thing. I was gonna head there.
Okay.
If there's any kind of,
Yeah, I mean, there's
retail
definitely.
center.
Yeah,
No.
there is like a main general store, but this is also a big enough place that there's a handful of like specialty shops in the name name of like
Right.
tools and weapons and clothing and that sort of thing,
Right.
those sorts of things. But there's also general store, but everything's kind of in sort of central area. I mean, you guys chose the inn that's a little bit on the outskirts of town, so you'll have to walk into town to get there. But
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I'm gonna head.
okay,
Anybody want to come with me?
Sure, I'll come with you.
I'll head out.
Here's the handle of my leash.
Ooh, okay.
No,
It's a
no,
family-friendly podcast.
it is.
Yeah, well, just
Leash
just
as
let me
in-
know if I start yanking your chain.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Nobilis, it was Lancelot that decided to have the party sit down and discuss whether you want to be less lethal after Peppa kills somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
You
okay.
kind of put yourself in that position, is the point.
All right, fair enough, fair enough.
Okay, Clem,
So, yes.
are you going with either of those groups, or are you heading out to back to the Millie's farm?
He'll head out to Millie's farm.
Okay.
And he has some questions for Millie. I wonder if they have chickens.
Well, so chickens would be people in this setting, but
Oh,
we kind
yeah,
of talked.
right.
We talked about the idea that we have insect livestock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah,
then
so-
he'll be asking if she has the chicken equivalent at her level. Because I say that because chicken poop is high in nitrogen
Hmm?
and ammonia. Both of things that we could use to make said thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, make use to do other things anyway.
Right.
The lime is something that is often used as kind of a soil treatment fertilizer type thing. So it is the sort of thing that they might have on a farm. But I don't know. What do y'all think? I think what my head goes to, if we're looking for chicken equivalents, is aphids, like
That was actually
little
my
roly
thought.
poly fat green aphids.
Yeah, but I would. Well, don't ants milk those?
yeah, I was thinking
Exactly.
that.
I was thinking that would be more like cows.
Right, and but like, there's all kinds of things, insects that lay eggs because eggs are just like,
Sure. What do we want?
Insects
Like
play it.
little pill bugs then, or something?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pill
little
bugs.
little pill bugs for the chicken analogy. So would ants be the horse analogy?
I think ants would be donkeys. Just because they can have, just because they can carry so much weight relative to their bodies, just like a donkey would.
And they can go and climb.
Well,
almost
so I guess here's the thing. You know, we talked about this a little bit, and you know, so we definitely like. It's like there's different ways to approach this. One is just the idea that because we don't have people, denizens, eating red meat in this setting, insects and fish could just be the protein substitutes, right? Alternately, having giant animals be, you know, giant insects be things like horses and oxes and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
guess I don't know. I will leave it to you all to kind of decide what sort of tone you're looking for.
I
there.
like the giant insects
Okay.
as livestock
yeah.
idea.
All right.
Just because I mean, animals serve so many
Yeah.
purposes in a
mean-
pre-industrial society
Mm.
and also
that
That-
not
that would-
having them is a huge.
and also who didn't watch David the Gnome? He rode a fox. So in this same world, we could be riding like grasshoppers and ants and like all kinds of things.
All
But,
right.
you know, instead of like ants being, you know, dangerous, they're cartoony.
Yeah, they're docile.
Yeah.
Or at
Domesticated
the
at
least,
least,
the
yeah.
domesticated trained ones are.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
Right?
Like
I
Wally's
mean-
pet cockroach.
Hmm.
Now, that's not to say that if we
Well,
go out,
but-
go out in the woods, we might come across a swarm of angry
Right. Well,
termites.
and
but,
Wally's cockroach is not big, right? Like he's just
Yeah.
a regular cockroach. I mean,
Yeah,
he's very
so-
cute, but
Yeah,
And
a
roly
swarm
poly-
of feral
Roly
ants
poly
would
is
be
this chicken,
dangerous.
so they go,
Yeah.
they go, all right, you go.
and I cannot, with the roly polies, I can't help but thinking of the restaurant scene in Emperor's New Groove.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you have to knock on it with the little straw.
Oh,
In any case, let's first follow Nigel and Arbin heading to the blacksmith.
So as we're going, I'm going to say to Nigel, I don't think when they ask us why we want the sulfuric acid, I don't think we should tell them the bald-faced truth. If you follow me.
Okay.
Because this blight is a sensitive subject for this town. It's a threat. And if we're going to go around and say, oh, yes, we want sulfuric acid because we're going to cure the blight, that's going to shut people down very quickly. and we won't get anywhere.
Well, I mean, if somebody is like, what do you want this for? Then we can, we can be, well, we've heard reports that there's, we've heard of a way to possibly treat the blight, and we're working on testing it out to see if it
Aye.
works. Be modest about it, be honest about it, but I mean, nobody's gonna,
So, my thought is that we should, we have a very skilled tinkerer, and we might simply be doing legwork of gathering supplies for him.
Yeah, that work that's a nice neutral answer.
Like grilling for an interview.
So, as you're setting out into town, Arbin and Nigel,
Mhm.
I'm not even going to make you roll for this to notice because, frankly, they want you to notice. You see there's another magpie, not your friend Peppa, but a different magpie, who Lancelot probably told you about. Yes.
I did, I definitely did.
You notice them following you. And again, they're staying back, they're not bothering you, they're not interfering, but they're not trying to keep you from noticing.
Right,
Right,
so,
right. Watch. I see them. I
Mhm.
will note to Nigel. We have a tail. I propose we don't try to lose the tail or engage with the tail at this time. They their purpose is obvious. Let them follow us. If they're going to if they want to start something, we'll let them make the first move. We'll just keep on
Understood.
going. Yeah, we just keep
Yep.
going to the blacksmith.
well, we are splitting up, so they
Mm.
can't follow all of us.
But I mean, out of the five of us, we're the two most distinct, except maybe, Cubs shells, they say, but a capybara and an Erie Dynasty falcon are kind of conspicuous.
Well, I mean, the two of you specifically have a connection where you're like extra memorable, the two of you together.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there's that
Yeah,
too. So yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So in any case, you're heading out and you notice them following you, and I think there's probably even a moment where when you notice them, they're certainly watching you. So there's probably even just like a little split second of eye contact.
Yep. I'm gonna keep it as neutral, professional as I can. Yep, I see you. You're following us. Good for you.
uh, so as you are heading towards the blacksmith, you do find that it's you're are you heading out pretty early? It sounded like that was the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, you see that there's a little bit of a trickle of smoke coming from their forge. That's not it's not fully you know
Stoked.
fully up
Stoked
yet,
yet,
but
yeah.
they're working on it. Probably you guess that's probably what they're in there doing right now is kind of getting it up and ready, reheated for the day.
Sure.
Yeah.
So-
Hang on, let me grab one thing real quick. Sorry. So as you are heading in there, you just kind of I think there's probably like a tiny like what I'm envisioning here in terms of the setup of this place is the kind of place that you go to get your oil changed. Like there's a tiny little office area that sort of adjoins
Big
like
workshop.
the
big
workshop
workshop.
area. So it's clear when you arrive from the street that you are to enter through the office area. But I think what you get is a locked front door there, but you hear activity from the workshop area, which is not like fully enclosed. You just kind of have to walk around the corner of the building.
That's fine. We can casually make our way around.
Okay.
Keep it nice and casual.
All right. So sure enough, you see it. There's a fox in there with huge, strong arms, or doing, or I don't think it's the cliche thing of they have one great big arm and the other one's weak, because like they recognize that the neuromusculature, it's actually beneficial and valuable to try to keep it a little more balanced.
I imagine even in reality, like even if you use one arm to swing a hammer, the other arm has to keep what you're hitting steady. So that'll build up some tone.
In any case, they seem to be, kind of hunched over a big bellows as they're working on bringing their little forge back up to heat. Call out.
Nigel will tap on window frame or whatever.
He looks up and kind of sees you there and doesn't stop what he's doing, but he gives you like a nod to like, come on in.
We'll go in. Good morning.
All right. Well, I don't have to ask. No, you two are new in town. What's up?
We're looking for some supplies for our tinkerer friend.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Specifically sulfuric acid.
Oh.
He wishes to do some etching.
Okay. How much do you need? And I know that we kind of like. So I think.
Tell him how much we need.
I think so. I will say that like between your group, you kind of worked out that you think that to have enough to kind of be a proof of principle to treat enough of a field that you can show, like you treat an area that's near where the other ones are infected to show that it's not getting infected, right? You feel like you would need like a liter of sulfuric acid to make that much.
Yes, about a liter of it, or two if it's available.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, I keep a little bit on hand, just for, certain kind of special jobs, but I don't think I have that much for you. But let me tell you where you ought to go is over, like they're trying to get the sawmill up. You probably passed that on your way in here.
Yes.
Right? So, obviously, they're not working on that very much right now because most of their big construction guys are moved over to trying to repair the fort, but the Rose is the mason that's in charge of the sawmill, and she's got a lot of like fancy ideas that I guess she learned from the Marquisate, or I don't know, but she came here with them to put up the sawmill, and she's got a lot of fancy sort of techniques, I guess. It's just no sawmill like no sawmill I've ever seen. But I bet you she would have more.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We should also ask about the copper that you wanted too.
Oh, well, I mean, copper I can do for you. You want it in what do you, a copper what?
Wire would probably react
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think wire would be the best means.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I could do that for you. So, I think, again, the amount that you want for
Yep.
that it's relatively small, and I'll say that you can get what you need for one value from him.
Okay, I'll pay for that. I didn't
Okay.
catch your name, good sir.
Well, my name is Braden.
Thank you very much for your help for the copper and for pointing us toward a source for the sulfuric acid.
Oh, sure. If I weren't so busy and she weren't so, I guess she's pretty busy too, even though, well, I don't know. You'll see when you talk to her. I don't know. I mean, she seems like an interesting person, but if you can kind of get past her, you'll see.
You'll see. Thank you very
And-
much.
She came with Marcus. Is she also a cat as well?
No, she's a mouse.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
All right, you too.
Turn and leave.
One down to the go.
So I think the so what were you and Peppa looking to get at the general store, Lancelot?
Well, I mean, we're looking for sources of all the things.
Right.
But what I'm thinking is the most likely to find there is actually the lime,
Okay. Yeah.
because it's got a lot of different uses in different situations. So, you know, the others had talked about the
Hmm.
the sulfuric acid and the copper being,
Mhm.
you know, from the smith, and that seems likely, but I didn't think they'd have lime there. So yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking it's possible that a farm would have lime because it's used to treat the soil, but certainly for that reason, they would sell it at the store also.
right, right.
Yeah.
And I'm farmers are having their own troubles these days, so I didn't want to
Yeah.
bother them. So,
Fair enough.
yeah.
So in any case, let's pick up with Peppa and Lancelot heading into the, you know, the business district, the commercial
Yes.
district
Mhm.
of this bustling metropolis of Patchwood.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, that's
No,
certainly
yeah.
the Marcusates vision for Patchwood.
Sure. Well, you know, it's proto metropolis.
Yes.
Yes.
So you're heading for like, you know, the store that seems like it would have farm supplies.
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
I think that you see that there is actually, um, it's not open yet because you're early, but you see that adjacent to this store that has more traditional farm supplies, there is a shop front that looks like it is to sell the same sorts of automated machinery tools that
Uh-huh.
you saw being demonstrated in Sundell.
Aha.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's I don't think there's anything wrong with just hanging out outside and waiting for the place to open.
well, so the general store is open.
Oh,
The
okay.
one for the machinery is not.
Oh, okay, okay. So we'll head into the general
Mhm.
store
Yep.
and um, uh, take a quick glance around and see if like there's a big sign that says
Mhm.
lime. But
Okay. So
barring that,
here's the thing. Do you have business other than buying lime? Or like if you were able to say one lime please and they say, "Yes, that's one coin," and then you're done, then we can just do that. But if you have
yeah.
other business, then we can certainly.
Well, I was gonna ask, also ask, who in town, where in town I might be able to apply, find the other things, because
Sure.
I don't know what their success has been.
Yeah.
So, I was, going to
Well,
to ask about those.
yeah, so
Um,
I think what will we don't necessarily need to do a
Play
whole
that out.
scene just for a
Okay.
transaction, but what they will tell you is I think that the shopkeep here has no idea where to get sulfuric acid. They suggest the blacksmith for copper, but here's your lime, sir.
Okay, one
And-
coin's worth.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my last one, but I will have that. So
Mhm.
I now have the requisite quantity of lime, probably a bag of powder.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And it would be I think probably like a treated canvas that would have to be in, I would think, because you're not gonna have a plastic bag, obviously.
No,
Right.
yeah, it's probably a heavy woven bag.
Mhm.
Yeah. I can just see Lancelot handing this to Peppa to carry.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is lime. You don't want to get wet.
No, it will turn caustic if it
Yeah.
gets wet.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in any case, though, you are able to find that, and I think as the two of you are coming out, you are aware, not too far away is the nearest one of these patches of trees with the eerie houses up at the top of them,
Mhm, mhm.
and you notice that there seems to be a little bit of a miniature confrontation there. There is a crew of cats with lumberjack type tools, but you actually look and several mice have tied themselves hand to hand around one of the big trees.
Uh-oh.
And
Oh, wow.
what you're hearing is kind of like, "Come on, guys, we're just trying to do a job here." It's like, You will not take this tree. It is a symbol of our heritage, and it is part of our cultural identity.
Right. Well, this
Well,
It's,
I mean,
and I'll lean over to Lancelot and said, I think we saw the beginnings of this last night when Arbin and I were doing our flyover of the
yeah,
town.
and you'd think that if they thought so highly of the trees, they'd have taken care of the houses up there better. I don't know. Do I don't want to get involved in that. That sounds like something where no matter what we do, somebody's gonna be pissed off with us, which is always true anyways, but
Okay.
one thing at a time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
This,
we will skirt around that, try not to attract attention and yeah, um
Yeah.
head for the blacksmith because that's where we know
Sure. So I think that as you are passing by, you observe that the cats, to the mice's dismay, don't actually need to do that tree first, and they just kind of
whoops,
um,
yeah.
they start working, and it looks like what they're actually doing is not just cutting down trees, because these are big tall trees in the middle of the town.
Mhm.
You're not just going to cut it from the bottom and let the whole tree plus a house fall into whatever, right? So
Yeah,
Right.
you got to go up there and
yeah, so what they look like they've got is a bunch of tools, and they're maybe going to go out up and start like trying to dismantle parts of the house and maybe try to lower it down safely. But this is just
Yeah.
one of several of those sorts of
yeah,
clumps.
yeah.
All right. So, Clem, you head on out to the farm. I think that you will see the some of the farm hands that you met yesterday kind of already start doing their early morning farm chores. You know,
Give them a slight nod as he's going towards the house.
feeding the pill bugs, milking the aphids. Uh, all right. So yeah, I think they look a little surprised to see you again, but they don't interfere, and you head over to the house and just knock.
Yep. I was like, Miss Millie, and she knocks.
Yeah. Oh, is that you again, Clam? Come on in.
Yes, ma'am, it is. And he'll go inside.
All right. She is wearing different, like, it is a very similar simple homespun dress with knitted shawl, but it is a different one from yesterday. And in fact, actually, she looks like she has taken some, like she has put herself together relatively well this morning. Like she doesn't just look like she just woke up or anything. She looks like she's like almost like she expected a visitor, perhaps.
And goes, you weren't expecting me, were you?
Well, I don't know. I just thought it was possible. I mean, I don't get a lot of visitors in town, but I had a feeling after our conversation yesterday that you and your friends were probably not done talking about the blight or whatever.
Well, your intuition would have been correct. Although I think we have come across a potential solution, but acquiring the ingredients is going to be harder than we had imagined.
Oh, really? What do you mean?
Well, we need copper, lime, and some acid.
Well, I mean, lime is something we use here on the farm. I mean, but what do those things do?
Well, if we mix them correctly, we can make a solution that you can use on your fields that should kill the blight.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, you said acid. I mean, wouldn't that be bad for the plants? Go ahead and roll a persuade an NPC. And that's a roll plus
Plus
charm.
charm.
Yeah.
It's not Oh, 9.
Okay. Well, on a 9, they aren't sure. So, what I think you need to do to persuade them is, I mean, I don't want you just putting chemicals willy nilly on the plants. I mean, what is this? I need to know a little bit more about what you're talking about here.
Well, it's basically a fertilizer because to make the things we need things like nitrogen and ammonia. Ammonias can be used to keep insects off the plants in the farm and things that you grow on the farm, and nitrogen is used for a fertilizer. The only thing is we need it to be a bit stronger because the blight, we've done some research. One of our friends is very studied and has figured out that it is a fungus or a kind of a mold, so to speak, and it will kill that and not harm the plants themselves.
Hmm. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that how do you even know how to make all this?
Well, and Clem says, he goes, "Pardon me," and he dips in his arms and head into his shell, and he pops back out and he says, "I am a man of science," and he holds up some journals and things
Okay.
that he's had
Well,
for making stuff.
okay,
And
but it was Nigel's books that we found.
oh, no! These are Clem's personal things about
Okay,
making things, not Nigel's, not Nigel.
sure. Okay.
And he says, "I'm I am a man of science when it comes to making things, whereas a friend of mine who's like family, Nigel, is very good with his books and research. He's far more studied than me. In this endeavor, he would probably be putting it together. I'd be making the thing that sprays it on the field."
Hmm. All right. Well, I feel like I feel like I would want to take a look at these books myself if I could before I let you
Oh.
spray it on there. But
And he goes, "Oh, I'm sure if you asked Nigel to have him talk to you about his books, he could do it just as long as you wanted. As long as you wanted. In fact, there would be no trouble at all."
all right. Well, I mean, so I guess then what is it that you're asking me for? You're saying you're going to make up some of this stuff?
Well, we intend to, but the problem is, we spoke with the Count of the Marquisate. Well, Nigel did. He wasn't too happy about the idea of us helping and or figuring out how to solve the blight problem before they could.
Okay. I'm not sure what I can do about that, Clem.
Well, if you allow us to use it on your farm once we make it, one, if it works, you'll be in a better position than any other farm in the area. And two, we don't have to worry about the Marquisate getting in our way because we solved a problem as vagabonds that they could not solve with all their big fancy ideas.
All right. Well, I think that I have a friend of mine that's runs the farm across the way there, and I trust them that they know a lot of what there is to treating fancy fertilizers and the like that. I would trust them more than I would trust myself in terms of looking at one of those books. So if you can we can show them the books too, and they can kind of give their blessing that they think it might work, then sure.
Absolutely. If that's the case, then I'll beg your pardon and I'll head out to find my compatriots. Because to be fair, we decided as we talked about it last night that time is of the essence. If we don't hurry, you could potentially lose most of your harvest.
Well, to be sure, the blight's a fast moving one out there, and so whatever we're going to do, if there's anything to be done, it should be fast if it can be.
And even if we don't have enough materials to make enough to cover all the farms or anything other than a sample, if we give you guys the formula, the Marquisate could fund getting it made. Or the farmers could pool together to get it funded for themselves. But the fact of the matter is, we just want to get it done because if it stops, if it can stop the blight, then it would also alleviate pressure on the market state. The sawmill could be taken care of, but also we might be able to find a way to stop um, your your son or your nephew explained to me about people having issues with what's going on with this trees in town, or maybe it was his friend who's
Wait.
slightly conspiracy oriented.
Oh, well, I mean, you're going a long way past my understanding of the situation here. I don't worry about that. I'm just saying. So look, you get my friend to give the blessing on thinking that this might work. I'm happy to let you try it on our stuff. I don't know about the rest of what you're talking about.
Well, the fact that you would allow us to do that here, if you felt comfortable, is all that I need. But but I do need the name of your friend. I don't want to
Oh, sure.
come into a situation and not know who they are.
Oh yeah, this is just a farmer named Kaylee Rabbit just across the way there, and she kind of points.
Uh, uh, is it Miss Kaylee Rabbit or
Just Kaylee.
okay? Excellent. Then I'll be back. And if you're really interested in those books, you can sit in when they talk about them. Oh, listen, I'm pretty sure Nigel would love an audience when talking about his books.
Well, I just want to make sure we're not spraying acid on our crops. It's going to just kill them.
Oh no, I'm sure Nigel knows the proper way to dilute it so it doesn't harm them, but only enriches the soil.
All right. Well, if Kaylee believes you too, I'll believe you enough that we could try it.
Right? Well, then I will. Then, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go find my friends, and then we will go see if we can go meet with your friend Kaylee.
All right. So, as you head out, we have Arbin and Nigel having gone over to the sawmill,
Mhm.
the sawmill construction site. And as previously discussed, you have like a major structure that is, very much incomplete and does not really seem to be worked on currently. However, as you approach, you do hear that, like from inside, you hear some small amount of activity and the whirring of some kind of a machine that is like making a vroom, vroom noises.
Curious. Let's go find out more.
Nigel will knock on door or door frame or whatever. And
My-
it's insane.
What is the possibility that Peppa and I came across these guys as we were?
Sure. Well, especially since you were going to look for them next anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we met up with you along the way.
Well, and for that matter, since Clem was going to come into town to meet the rest of you, we might as well. We can
We'll
have
have a-
everybody there. It
Okay.
doesn't need to be split up any more than
Yeah.
we are otherwise.
Now we're the blob again.
Mhm.
Yes. Oh, we have the copper, but could not find enough sulfuric acid.
We were directed here. How did you do?
Yes.
Found the line. Easy
Okay.
enough.
All we need is some acid.
And now I'm broke.
Well, all that money you were saying I was buying drinks, yeah, that till is getting a little thin now.
Yeah, well, easy come, easy go.
The
At least I
vagabond
got my
life.
banjo.
You made that rhyme. Congratulations. done.
That's my thing now.
You
Clem,
give
how
it some
was your-
zing.
How was your efforts?
Well, to be fair, Miss Millie said her friend is very known about fertilizers and solutions you use for crops, and she would be willing to allow us to use her farm as a place for an experiment if her friend signs off on the validity of this solution. My thing is, if they sign off on it and she agrees, that's not one but two farms that we could use for these experiments to see if this
Well,
solution
so
works.
bear in mind the amount that you're going to be able to make with what you're buying right now is enough to treat a
Yeah.
small section of one field.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, that would actually be good. We multiple different spots and yeah, lots of plenty of opportunity for further example.
Yes. Yes, because if it works on one and we try it on the other and that confirms it, then at that point it's as good as done. Although again, I'm very trepidatious about how the Marcasate's going to deal with this if we beat them to the solution, if they're even on this solution's right track. They could be lost in the sauce, as they say.
It's, well, it's not like we didn't offer to help.
Very true.
Knock knock. Hello.
Yeah, so there's like this is not even an enclosed structure, so you kind of have to
Wow.
just, you can like walk around to try to look through one of the open parts, and you can see that there is within what is going to be the larger interior of this sawmill, right, which is a relatively big building. There is almost a complete enclosed wooden structure inside. And as you look and you see that there's a small water wheel that's been set up, and as you look through the window of this wooden structure, and you've been hearing this vroom, vroom sound, you're noticing like light and sparks in the window every time that it makes the noise.
Clem is Clem's going to say, I don't think they hear us because they seem to be busy. But I will be frank, I'm very curious to see how this works. So I'm going to go inside because I want to see how this works. So he's very intrigued by the sound of the what he's presuming is a saw.
Yes. And Nigel is going to follow because, well, strange lights and sparks. It's curious.
So to be clear, there's a big like water tank, water like that's elevated a little bit. That is what's powering this little water wheel. You're not on a river or anything like that.
Right.
And it seems to be turning this little wheel and then draining into another vat where presumably it might eventually get pumped back up into the other tank or something like that. But you go around and do you knock or do you just open the door to this smaller structure?
He'll knock, but he's not going to wait long. If there's no response, he's going to peek his head in.
Okay. I think that as you knock, you're like, and then you hear almost in rhythm a louder thump from inside, and then some muffled cursing.
Whoops.
He's definitely going to open the door, peek his head in.
Oh boy.
So, like, as you start to open the door, you find it pulled out of your hand, opened only a few inches, and then, like, you look down, and is this tiny little mouse woman wearing goggles that make her eyes look enormous. And you see that she's got like a bandana holding her ears back, and her face is like there's just like soot all over her muzzle, and she looks up at you and just says, "What?"
Good morning. We were wondering if you might have any sulfuric acid.
The door slams.
And Clem speaks up and goes, if you want to get the sawmill off the ground, if we can get some sulfuric acid, we might be able to solve the blight problem to get your workers back.
There's a long pause where you don't hear any other activity. And the door opens back up just a little crack. That's an awful lot of ifs in that sentence.
Well, to be fair, the biggest if is if we can find sulfuric acid. To be fair, we've struck nothing.
Well, to my perspective, that's not the biggest if. The biggest if, see, because I've got sulfuric acid, so I know I could give it to you. So the biggest if in my mind is, why should I do that? If I gave it to you, what possible benefit could it have, as opposed to you just wasting an expensive material that I have?
Easy. If we combine it with lime, water,
Copper.
and copper, we can make a solution that will fortify the soil to stop the blight. If the blight is stopped, they don't have to burn the crops. If they don't have to burn the crops, then you've got more hands for your sawmill.
Make a persuade an NPC roll.
Um,
Yeah.
Nigel would like to help.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
if
let's see
necessary.
how the roll goes. Let's
Yeah.
see how
Yeah.
the roll goes.
Helping in this game happens after the roll.
Yeah.
6.
Okay. Well, that means that if Nigel helps by marking exhaustion,
Yep.
you can make that a 7 to 9. So how do you help, Nigel?
Yes. Nigel will
Books.
pull out the appropriate book, open to the right thing. These are historical records of this Crochon mixture, which is what we plan to make and how it has been used in the past.
She holds up a hand. Can I see that?
He hands it to her.
She yanks it, slams the door, and it says, "Come back in an hour."
Nigel's not going to go away. He's going to sit down outside the door and wait.
And Clem speaks up and says, to be honest, we can't wait an hour. But if you're going to make us wait an hour, I would like to at least see how your sawmill works whilst you read this book, because I am a man of science. and
As you're
I am-
talking, the noise starts.
Well, I
I think
tried.
it's called drowning us out.
Well, I
Hopefully
tried.
it's not also called I don't like this book. It was written by someone who is opinionated about stuff I disagree with, and so I'm going to destroy it.
Destroying a book? Horrors.
And Clem,
Okay, well, so I think mechanically what's happening here is you got a 7 to 9, which means that they aren't
Yeah.
sure and tell you what you need to do, and what you've been told is they need an hour with your book before they will. So, like, that's
And
what we're
Nigel's-
talking about,
Just-
right?
Just, you know,
Nigel's not
Yeah.
going to go far away from his book
Sure,
if
sure.
he doesn't have
And-
to.
That makes sense.
and Clem gives Pippa the most serious look. And he says, I would not like to think about how I would feel if one of my closest friends' most treasured possessions was vagrantly destroyed. I am not easily prone to violence, although I think that situation just might be that.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to wager on the side of benefit of the doubt, and assume they're just reading and understanding, and are slightly annoyed at our social interaction. As a person who generally is very cloistered from society, I can understand that.
Fair
As you
enough.
finish saying that, there's a big sound of psh, and like steam starts coming out the windows of this little tiny shack.
That does
And-
not hamper me from being very interested in how they have this to work. I'm even more interested now because steam power means automation.
And as the steam goes out, Nigel's brows furrow a bit. It's like, and you can almost hear his thoughts of, that's not good for a book.
And Clem goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Nigel. I didn't mean to sound too excited about the steam. I'm so sorry."
So, I mean, do you all just kind of sit around for waiting?
Arbin's not. Arbin doesn't want to stand there like a statue. Arbin's going to go take a walk.
Okay.
Clem
Yeah.
away with Nigel.
All right.
Yeah.
They said an hour. Standing here for an hour is not going to change the time frame significantly. So
Mhm.
Might as well get some exercise and hopefully not get into trouble.
Okay.
And Nigel is going to, watch the activity through windows worryingly while writing in his book.
Sure. So yeah, so Clem and Nigel are staying. Arbin's going for a walk. Lancelot, Peppa, what are you doing? Are you hanging out too, or?
I think I'm going to go with Arbin. Uh, uh, at least trot to keep up and let him know about the situation and the situation with the trees and the mice and the
Hmm.
woodcutters and stuff.
Oh, okay. That's a good conversation to have. So Arbin will listen, look very, very sad, and nod. Something needs to be done, but preserving the status quo as it is preserving something that's falling apart. I can understand their desire to preserve their cultural identity, but if they're going to do that, then they need to put resources to maintaining that rather than just letting it crumble into the ruins we saw yesterday.
Yeah. Well, given didn't we see that somebody was living in one of those?
In very, very, very unsafe conditions.
Yeah,
Even for a
there was a
Yeah.
bird.
wren who looked like maybe a kid who was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think more to the point, that might be a oh, here's a wonderful excuse. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Uh,
Oh,
like they're trying to protect the somebody who might be living in there unknown.
that. I do wonder, yeah, about the socially disadvantaged in this town, and if they're living in those houses, and this is an attempt to remove them or on one side and protect them on the other.
Well, I think the Marcusate is probably, you know, above board with just wanting to get rid of the trees because it's in the way.
It's in the way it's in the path of their path of technological progress. It's not efficient. It's not it's not distinctly the most efficient way of going about things to have these trees sitting in the middle of the town. So
Yeah, it's getting in the way of the vision.
yeah,
So, I can see the Marcusate being, on that part. But if, there's people squatting up there that the mice are trying to protect, I mean, we have no proof that that's actually the case. This is just me guessing, but that might be.
how far away are those trees from the sawmill, OGM,
Well, so
in terms of a walk?
right, the whole clearing is not that big, right?
Okay.
Like, so it would be no more than a couple of minutes to walk to one of those clumps of trees.
We're not going to get into trouble. We're not going to start a fight. We're not going to get kicked out of this town, Peppa. But I think let's go take a walk over to those trees, take a look at things.
Okay.
Now, I think that that there's two that are relatively equidistant. One is the one where there was actual activity happening. The other one was seemed currently not the focus of the activity.
Let's go take a look at the quiet one first, and maybe go fly up there and take a look around, and then we'll go over to the more adventurous one and see what can be done or not.
Okay.
Once that's going to kill us.
Well, just so long as I don't kill anybody, I think he'll be okay.
Or we get thrown out of yet another town. Yeah.
Yeah, I either that or you guys disavow all knowledge of me and I book it.
It's-
So just touching on Lancelot, Lancelot? Are you just waiting with Nigel and Clem?
I'm waiting with Nigel and Clem because I want to make sure they don't screw anything up.
All right. So I think then that nothing is really changing there at the moment.
Right.
Just kind of you're hearing less activity from inside this shack than before because perhaps she is also looking at the book. But in the meantime, Arbin and Peppa. So are you just sort of exploring around the base, or are you flying up into the trees?
The empty one, we're going to go to the base and then we're going to go fly up.
Okay.
We'll go to the base, scout out things, and then I think we're going to take a flight up into the trees and take a look at that.
So sure enough, as you approach the trees, there is, slightly set back from the outer perimeter of this clump of trees, the largest of the trees, the one that is supporting the most of the house structure up top, does have a fairly typical for Erie Dynasty architecture. It does have a staircase for non-birds to climb up to the house. However, that like the entrance to this has been boarded up, and there's a sign that says "Do not enter, unsafe."
Yeah, well, we're not going to enter through that. We are birds.
Sure.
We have other means than dangerous staircases.
So to be sure, you
Is there anybody particularly watching this tree or looking at it, or is it just kind of like neglected, sitting in the middle of the clearing at the moment?
yeah, I mean, this one is so. Although you would imagine that if there is a clearing wide project to deal with these places, that they will eventually get to this one, it does not seem to be where they're starting.
Okay.
And it is, a project underway, but they haven't gotten to this one yet. So there's not really anything happening here. Although, certainly, as you are kind of poking around in there, there are people who sort of are just passing by and will give you guys a look and mind their own business mostly, but notice you.
That's fine. I'm wearing Erie Dynasty uniform.
Mhm.
I got every right to look at this
Yeah.
architecture. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I know I've gone into full homeland mode. I know. All right, let's go take a flight up, Peppa. Let's go take a look at this fallen remnant of the past. So I'm going to leave Peppa flying up and do a little spiral around
Sure.
the tree and the house.
Yeah.
I'm mostly interested if somebody is squatting in it, basically. That's my. I mean, we already got a sense that these things are falling apart. We know that, but the question is anybody using this as a home?
Right. So I think that as you are flying around it, it is a fairly typical, if old-fashioned, Erie Dynasty house. It's not necessarily like, wouldn't be the noble seat of a whole family or anything like that, but it's almost like a summer house for them, right? Something like that. That kind of a place. So it's a big, fancy, nice house by any other normal denizen's standpoint, but it's not a palace. It's
It's a summer
nice
gotcha.
house. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. In any case, though, it does look like it has been shuttered up in the way of a vacation house that's not currently occupied, right? The paint is all, extremely weathered and peeled. The wood looks swollen and rotted in places. You can see some places where the roof looks like it's sagging. But I think that it's actually Peppa that notices with your move, which is the one, the smuggler's path. Go ahead and mark exhaustion and roll with luck if you want to use that move.
Roll with. All right. So let me mark that exhaustion.
If you want.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. I just need to check my luck stat. Okay. And that is a great big fat 8.
Okay. Well, an 8 is still a hit. And so what you discover as you have a keen eye for these sorts of things. Although all of the windows and doors are shuttered, as Arbin noticed, you happen to spot that there is around the back, there is one particular window where the boards that are like covering it, something that just sort of like raises a little flag in your brain, and you sort of fly down and look at it, and you realize, like, this set of boards are not all nailed into the wall. They are
Mhm.
attached to each other in a way that will allow the whole thing to swing open just enough for someone to slip in that window.
Okay.
So what you've got here is a way that someone could go in and out through that window that is intended to be, it's disguised as a successfully boarded up window.
Mhm.
But again, it's not just someone pried the boards away. Someone made it like this.
Yeah.
Now that's
This is
when you,
really good work.
yeah, now that's interesting. The question is that's sophisticated. It makes me wonder if it's something more than, at least in this case, something more than just a denizen who's trying to squat in here. It might be the hideout for any number of things. Corby conspiracy, maybe?
Mhm.
Um,
Possibly.
possibly. We're the only two birds. We're the best two to actually go in here. Um, I'm tempted to go bother with this now, but I think our friends, my friends, I mean Lancelot, would not like it if we did. Yes, I could see you smiling on camera, Nobilis.
You've turned yourself into the group mom, Lancelot.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
the
in
group
trouble.
dad, and
We're
you're
in
the group mom.
big trouble. We're in
I-
big trouble if I'm the group mom.
You're the group mom, and I'm the group dad. Okay, so all right, we're gonna note this, but we're not going to breach it just yet. So thank you for pointing this out. I've never really seen it. You really have a good eye for this sort of thing, Peppa.
I come in handy sometimes.
You come in handy more than sometimes. So let us fly back down to the ground, pretend we didn't see it, and we'll go wander over to the other tree and see what's happening there. How long is so? We haven't even been like 20 minutes yet, have we?
Yeah, like not like I think you were sort of taking your time and you weren't really like hurrying
Yeah,
or anything
no,
like
no, we
that.
don't.
So yeah, I think if you sort of take your time, mosey on back, that
Okay.
it's been not an hour yet, but getting there.
Okay, so let's go. Let's go back to our friends. Hopefully, they haven't gotten
Yeah.
into trouble. Trouble hasn't found them.
Well, so I think that what you find when you get back is that as Lancelot and Clem and Nigel have been sitting there kind of loitering, there was sort of a passing pair of Marcusate soldiers that looked like they were just walking down the street, noticed you, and kind of just gave you sort of a raised eyebrow look, the three of you.
I will give them a friendly wave and motion that are they within speaking distance?
Yeah, well, I think that like you're kind of settled just inside the larger structure of what's going to be
Mhm,
this building. They're, they were walking down the street outside.
Having a conversation with Rose, you know how it is.
They look at you and then they look at each other and then they basically just go across the street and they both just kind of lean against the wall and they're just
Okay.
watching.
Okay.
Boy.
So I think that Arbin and Peppa, as you arrive, you feel like there's a that momentary sense of feeling like you walked through a spider web or something, and you realize it's just the tension of like, oh, there's
Oh.
guards watching now.
And I imagine the guards probably noticed that Angel's writing and then just looking, writing, looking.
Well, it's more a matter of like they're not interfering, but you all are definitely being suspicious, and so they figure they're gonna just like, it's
Right,
it's a
no.
little bit of the sense of like you're not actually doing anything that we should officially make trouble for you, but we feel like doing this will either convince you not to do whatever suspicious thing you might have been about to do, or just
Mhm.
generally know that it's right.
Yeah,
It's like it's
nope.
just.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So in any case, though, I think it's not quite an hour before the the door opens again of the shack, and without letting anyone sort of look inside, she opens it just a crack and then like slides out so that she can open it just like as little as possible. And then she closes it and locks it behind her. But she is carrying your book, Nigel, and she hands it up to you. And there's a there's a greasy thumbprint on the cover. But
Any other?
she hands it up to you and she says, "The amount of sulfuric acid that I have won't be enough for you to cure the blight."
Would it? Do you have enough for a sample? I believe you said a liter.
I could get you that much, but that's gonna you're gonna be able to do less than a quarter acre with that.
Right, and then once we've proven that it works, then maybe we can get some larger resources into play.
Yeah, this is more proof of concept than anything. Prove it works, and then people can get behind it and do it in larger quantities. But nobody's going to want to do it just sight unseen. We think this works. We'll prove it.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of vagabonds. No one's gonna turn over an entire town to us doing this without seeing a proof of it first.
We hope that the ones who want to back this and do this are the farmers, not the markets. We stand with the denizen.
I think when you say that, she kind of just gives you a look of just like, who do you think I work for?
Yeah.
And Clem says, he kind of gives her a look back and says, in the pursuit of science and the unknown, it is better to go with those who are less obtrusive and those willing to squash curiosity.
Clem, shut up.
Uh,
What my friend is trying to say is that this is a scientific endeavor to prove that what we've seen in the book will be useful in this particular instance. And a liter of sulfuric acid would allow us to advance advance our plan. And if it works, then we can start recruiting people to say, hey, this works, here's what you all need. And we can start talking about finding the resources in larger quantities. Or perhaps setting up some kind of manufacturing. Maybe there's a source of sulfur nearby. I'm told that you can make sulfuric acid from regular sulfur.
all right. Well, so hold on. You're okay. Let me just explain where I'm coming from here. The last few months have imbued in me an extreme skepticism of any plan that requires more than 3 steps. Especially if it requires multiple people to contribute material and or funds.
Clem looks at
Okay,
Fair.
you know, you're
That's
not
fair.
wrong.
Clem looks at Lancelot and kind of goes, and then he looks at the mouse and says, I can understand where that comes from, especially given the circumstances of this town, but you also understand the scientific process. And we are vagabonds. We don't have the finances or the reach, whether it be political or socially, to get a lot of this done. But obviously, if you're talking to us, you understand the solid ground scientifically that we're standing on. So you can understand why it might require more than just us.
Yeah, well, no, I definitely can. See, my concern is not that I don't understand your plan so much as my concern is I give you the sulfuric acid that I actually have because I need it on the hypothetical that you'll make a certain amount of a substance that will be a proof of concept that will convince more people to give you lots of time and resources that they're already not giving me.
And Clem goes,
Well,
if we can prove that it works.
Now,
then
okay,
yes,
now, so
yeah,
like, don't, okay. I'm not saying no. I'm saying, I'm explaining to you that the extreme frustration that I feel right now about my sawmill is very likely to be passed along to anyone who is also looking to complete a complicated project at this time in this place. However,
Okay.
Well, let-
however, I will give you the sulfuric acid. And
Thank
what
you.
I will further do is I will write a letter to the Count to explain that your approach has merit. And I have extreme skepticism that you will succeed in getting what you need from him. But I will write that letter and I will give you your sulfuric acid. And what I would ask in return
Mhm.
is to leave me alone.
That is
Fair.
fair enough.
Okay.
And Clem just goes, well, that's better than I thought. I was going to offer my hand in helping to improve the sawmill as he looks around.
So
All right.
the look she gives you, Clem, is like she's considering whether or not to withdraw the offer she just made.
Oh,
And Clem meets that gaze and he says, you can look at me how you wish. Whether I am a turtle, a vagabond, or a member of this town, I'm in the pursuit of a scientific matter, and that is what I focus on.
No, what you're doing is looking for handouts of valuable chemicals and not doing it very well, if you ask me.
Well, hey, if we leave now, then it won't get your sawmill up and running now, will it?
Ah,
Clem,
Somebody
Clem,
drag him
Clem.
off.
Yeah. Nigel will kind of
yeah.
put arm around Clem and
Thank
kinda
you very
turn
much for
him
your
away.
support. Please ignore our friend. He's
passionate.
yes, and has a bad habit of snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, except only the other
Whatever.
way around.
And Clem
Um,
is just like, whatever. Pretty boy can talk anyone out of anything without any actual valid information. Who gives a crap? The fact of the matter
And
is,
leading him
we
away
need
as
to get.
he's
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
Okay.
and the fact of the matter is, we need to get this solved. And he's like old man shaking like Cain. Dragged away.
Old man yelling at Cloud.
So I think as he is dragged away, you're the one that's still there, Lancelot?
yeah.
She says,
I mean, we already have the copper and the lime we need, so it's not like this. We haven't already made steps. But
believe it or not, I like him.
you know something? So do we. So
Here's
you're
the
not alone.
problem, though. What
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now is I like him because he and I share some personality traits. And what I'll tell you is that those personality traits have made it very difficult for me to get things done with the marquisate in this clearing at this time. And so my suggestion to you is
Don't
that
let him do the talking.
yes. Because
Gotcha.
here's the thing. The fact that you have a good plan is insufficient in this day and
Yeah.
age.
No, I understand that, and that's why I usually do the talking. Thank you so much, and I hope that we can meet under more positive circumstances in the future. And he'll give an elaborate bow, and you know what? We don't need the letter right away. So I suppose perhaps I can come back later for that.
Wait here.
Okay.
She goes back in the shack and closes the door.
She wants us out of her fur in the worst way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After a moment, the door opens just a crack again. She leans out and she says, "Do you have gloves?"
Yeah, I've got gloves.
Slims. And then as the door opens again, she is wearing big, like elbow length, thick rubber
Every-
gloves,
Okay.
and she says, "Don't shake it around too much." And she's giving you like a big, like a sealed jar, like the there is wax around the
Right. The
it's
top.
it's a glass stopper, not like a metal lid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there's wax around the top of it.
Okay.
And it's about what you're looking for, and it does have a label on it that says sulfuric acid, and it has, fine print that is my guess is, no offense, it is beyond Lancelot's comprehension.
Yeah, no, no, that's fine. That's fine. Um, um, no, it occurs to me that we need something to react these things in, but it would not occur to Lancelot. So I'm just going to pocket the letter and take the, oh, she's just coming out with the sulfuric acid. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll take that and gingerly take it out with my gloves on out of this place and track down where they've hauled Clem off.
yeah. And then as you're leaving, she says, "You don't need to come back. I will send the letter."
Fair enough. Thank you so much.
And as you withdraw, you hear the sound again.
Okay. So Nigel, Clem, what's next? Where do we want to do this? We want to probably do this over at the farm.
Yeah, what sort of workshop or workspace do you need to actually make this work? Do we need to rent something, build something, borrow something, steal something?
It says, at Miss Millie's farm would be fine, because I just need a stable surface. We can't, as much as I like working in my shell, it's not the most stable of laboratories.
I'm not sure I'd want you to use sulfuric acid inside your shell,
Yeah.
but
Neither
that sounds
would I.
all sorts of bad.
Oh, we do have to get approval first, so.
That is true. So we need to go talk to Kaylee the rabbit.
Yes. So that would be the next step.
Sure. So I think that as you make your way over there, this is this is just another farm in the area, and you find that in addition to other farm hands, there's a middle-aged rabbit who's working as well, and she has got her elbows deep in the dirt as she's pulling out various individual plants in parts of the field to try to, like, she's checking individual spots for the fungus, but you can find her. And I think in this case, rather than play out the whole scene, which would be a little bit repetitive, I think at this point, what we can I'll ask is, who would like to try to make the persuade an NPC roll?
I'll do it this time.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
I will-
And
I
Nigel
will-
will be ready to assist if
Yeah,
needed.
I will give the sulfuric acid to Clem, who's probably got some very nice materials for handling all this, and I'll roll, and I rolled a 4 + 3 is 7.
Okay, so I think, okay, yeah. So here's what happens is Lancelot, as an experienced eye for the this sort of thing, you see Kaylee looking over what Nigel has, shown in terms of like what this material is, how it would be made, and how it would be applied. And then you watch the journey of like, what is this? That's interesting. Oh, this could work. This could work. And what she looks to you all and says, "Listen, I've got nothing against Millie, but I've got a patch of premium zucchinis over here that are going to a special buyer, And if you use that amount that you're making to treat that on my land instead of on Millie's, I'll make it worth your while.
Well, are you gonna, you're, this, how far along is this? Because we do want to be able to come back and show people that, hey, this is work. We
Oh,
don't,
well, no, I mean, I'm not going to be harvesting them tomorrow. I'm trying to
Okay.
have them not get ruined.
Right, right. Well, what do you say, guys? I mean, this is,
Yeah.
So long as they would make an appropriate instruction or appropriate
Example.
example, then yes.
I mean, you think it would. It's really just a case of like, she's kind of swooping in and taking a potential patch of
Yeah.
blight-free crops away from Millie is all.
Yeah,
yeah,
Well,
but if we do everything well, then everybody's going to eventually get this treatment.
yeah, so.
that's it. Yeah. So
So,
Yeah.
okay.
so it just
Yeah.
happens to be something more profit driven. Could be worse.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable, we can do that.
So, Clem, how are you reacting after kind of all of that has come down? Are you is Clem still kind of feeling angry about all that, or? We don't hear you.
You
All right,
muted.
Clem,
There you are.
Clem goes, I understand that there's no benefit to us to have our solution go on Miss Millie's farm. But if it wasn't for Miss Millie, we wouldn't have gotten the end with this person. And to be honest, the fact that they're willing to throw someone to the wolves when they're the one that got recommended by the person they're sacrificing bothers me. She's
No.
a sweet old lady.
Well, I mean, we could just go back and tell her that, her friend thought it was such a great idea that we're gonna do it over there instead, so.
Yeah.
Perhaps part of them making it worth our while could be ensuring that Miss Millie is the next one to benefit.
I'm not sure that's gonna be her decision.
Oh.
Yeah. I definitely don't think it's going to be her decision, especially if she's not one of the ones who potentially have sided with the Marcusate and are sending out some sort of crop to a special buyer. I know we
Yeah.
didn't get any inclination as to who it is, but in this town, do you really think a special buyer is anyone other than the Marcusate?
Who knows? There's 2 towns connected to this one. Could be anybody. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Marcusate and also cats and cucumbers.
I mean, we're here
It's
now.
zucchini, technically.
Oh, zucchini?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's even worse. But yeah, at this point, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, and it's their relationship.
Yeah,
Between themselves, it's not our business.
So yeah, she offers that she will pay you 5 value if it works.
hey, that sounds good to me. That's I can be bought.
And if nothing else,
Let's get to
Millie
work.
can be paid for providing the advice.
Mhm.
Let's get to work.
All right. So I think in this context, what we're doing is we're using your toolbox move, Clem. Hang on, I'm pulling it up. But all the various things that are needed for it are basically like we've kind of established them already.
Yeah.
Now, what I would like just for the flavor of it is for you to just describe your setup a little bit, like how do you rig everything up? Because obviously you do need like reactor vessels and containers and everything like that. And we'll say that you've gotten the things that were hard to get already. But so let's just paint a visual picture of making this stuff.
So this is the first time you guys have gotten a glimpse into Clem's shell. And
Yeah.
recently he's actually upgraded his shell. So it still fits on him like a thing that he wears because it's a part of him. But he starts pulling out tubes and beakers and stands. And you get glimpses as he pulls in his arms or his head that you see that there is intricate shelving seemingly bolted and welded to the inside of the shell.
Whoa.
And it screams heavy.
Yeah.
Like, and he sets up what you would think to be the most sciencey science lab of all. But it's all things that you can tell are like either handmade, hand welded, or that he's had for a while. So it doesn't have that clean, sterile look of a lab or a hospital, but it screams just Clem. Because like he also has the bases for these stands weighted so they don't tip over easily for reasons. Obvious reasons.
I'm just laughing at like I'm imagining the Looney Tunes version of this where
Absolutely.
Clem's head and arms disappear inside the shell, and then you hear like the sound of someone going downstairs, and then a long hallway, and then a door
But-
slamming.
And this whole time, his legs don't move.
Yeah.
So the shell still has his legs
Yeah.
sticking out of the bottom, but it sounds like he's walking somewhere.
Are we actually sure those are his legs, or are those mechanical
Go-
legs that that just
Yeah, he's
support the
created.
shell?
Yes.
And you hear Clem yell from inside the shell, "I never skip leg day."
Wow.
Like, and he's got hammers and screwdrivers and vials and beakers and turkey basers and all sorts of like he doesn't like if there is a specific scientific tool, he has the civilian equivalent.
One of the things that I want to just briefly touch on that I didn't really mention this in detail, but I was thinking it, especially this, I think, Lancelot, it occurs to you
Mm-hmm.
that of all the various things that you heard going on and heard going in and coming out with the sulfuric acid and everything, like that little wooden shack seemed awfully small for her to be actually operating machinery and I guess having a bottle of sulfuric acid just like on a shelf, I guess. And so I think that it felt a little bit like Rose has kind of a similar operation in there.
Yeah, this world has magic.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it's there.
It's got tune magic.
Well,
It's-
yeah, I
it's-
was just gonna say it's one of my favorite
it
lines.
works
from,
when it's funny.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just gonna say. One of my favorite lines from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's like you could have taken those cuffs off at any time. No, only when it was funny.
Yes.
Anyway.
No, only when it was funny.
Have a drink. I don't want to have a drink.
Anyway,
Anyway.
so you are hard at work
Mhm.
using the sulfuric acid and the copper to make copper sulfate, mixing that with the lime, and that all gets put, 1 to 1 to 8 in water. And then I think what I will need you to make a roll on is the jury rig, which is just to make something to spray it. You've got it in a great big like a trough right now.
That's with cunning, I think.
The jury rig is roll with cunning, yes.
I'm happier with cunning.
Mhm.
I'm not good with much else. Don't fail me now, dice.
because if it does, I'm pretty sure we're all gonna be covered in a weird acid. Bath.
Oh no.
That's a 6.
Okay,
Oh, boy.
well-
Can
help,
we
help, help.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, also bear in mind that the thing with this move is that on a miss, the device works but has a side effect. But at the same time, you can have someone help. In fact, I think probably it makes most sense. I think in the fiction for Nigel to help, but certainly at the same time, we're also making a machine, so I think anyone could probably do the help theoretically if you're just like helping him to like manage this device that he has built.
If it's Nigel and someone else, he's asking Nigel for specific help with getting the machine to function, whereas he's asking the other person, say, for a clamp because there's a hose running
Yeah.
rampant, spewing.
I need you to
Things.
hold this really heavy piece in place while I fiddle with the little bits on it, or something like that.
Yeah, Nitro helps.
Okay. Well, and I think Nigel also is the one that like he had the research on how best it's applied, right? Like so
Yeah.
helping you with knowing how the machine like it's one thing to say you know how the machine does what it needs to do, but Nigel can offer input on what it is that it needs to do, right?
Because it needs to spray at this rate. At this.
Yeah. So in any case, with Nigel's help, that makes it a 7, which means on a hit you create a device that works once and then breaks. Yeah, and I think in particular what you realize that you, in order to make one that would be more permanent, you need you would need to have some rubber piping instead of some of the metal tubing that you've got, because the metal tubing is going to get corroded over time.
Yeah, I think Rose would probably like to take a chunk out of that project.
So
Um,
Clem mumbles something about, I don't necessarily like her that much. It sounds very much more like the idea of, I really like what they're doing, but I didn't do it, so I'm not gonna like it.
Yeah, I think there could be a little bit of a, I respect you so much that I never want to see you again. That sort of, anyway, I think though that feel free as you like to describe this device and how you spray it over this, this field of growing zucchinis.
So, since you mentioned spreader, I had the idea of having what they would use for an old school blacksmith forge, that kind of hand crank pump,
Mm-hmm.
but with a reservoir and a funnel to have it spread out over a wide area.
Mhm.
But it's still handmade,
Yeah.
and it's heavy. So it fits onto his shell almost kind of like a harness he pulls down, kind of like the Ghostbusters in Ghostbusters 2 when they have the tank of ooze, except all of it's in the front. So the weight now is counterbalanced by the fact that his shell is super heavy.
Yeah. It's like, don't cross the streams, but only because you're trying to get a uniform distribution and you don't want overlap.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. We can't oversaturate one area or we might kill the crops.
So in any case, though, you have been shown by Kaylee this one particular patch where she's got these zucchinis growing, and she had shown you how there was just one little corner of it where some of the plants were starting to see the little green and brown, like the little yellow and brown spots on the leaves, which had told her that she was on the verge of losing that whole little patch and was really worried about it. And so you apply that all, and like you don't get instant feedback, right? It's more like,
Yeah.
okay, well you have applied it, it worked as you intended it to, and then I think just as you were about to, just as you kind of finish that little area, you do one last like pump spray, and one of the little tubes goes
And it goes like,
Yeah, I figured that was gonna happen.
But yeah, so sure enough, she asks you is like, well, so how long will it take? Or I mean, I guess we've been seeing it spread so fast, so I mean, I guess in a day or two we'll know, right? Like it's either spread or it won't.
Yes. It probably has the writing probably tells something about how long it would take
Yeah.
to.
Well, I mean, the trick really is that like it's not doing something, it's preventing something,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so it's going to be a case of like you kind of have to wait as long as it would have taken for the blight to overcome that patch
Okay.
to see that it isn't doing that.
Yes.
Right.
So yes, however long it would normally spread, wait that long, and if it doesn't spread, then it worked.
All right. Well, so I mean, I guess I'll be watching it carefully. You can believe that. So I guess how do I reach you if I need to? Where are you staying?
We are staying at uh, at the Roadhouse.
And
Okay.
and I would also say, if it is, from what you can observe, working, do not tell the Marcusade. Do not tell your friends.
Okay.
Come tell us first.
Well,
Uh,
Okay. I mean,
Because
well,
and he kind of gives Nigel and everybody a look and says, because I don't want to see the reaction of the Marcusade when they see a bunch of vagabonds fixed your problem. If
well,
you get
I
my
mean,
drift.
I'm a little, so here's the thing. It's like it's already going to be a little bit of a thing like I'll tell you and I'll promise to you that I'll tell you first. But the thing is, this town is not so big that secrets get kept for a long time. So it's not like
Absolutely.
I don't have to be the one that tells someone for people to figure out what's going on. And once that happens, if
I
it
mean,
does work, people are going to want
Oh
more.
no no no. We
We
Yeah.
just
just
need to we just need to be the first here
Oh,
because
yeah, okay.
we can't allow them to take credit.
All right. Well, so I'll tell you that that's going to be true for me. I'll tell the hands the same. I mean, I can't promise that no one will figure it out, but I mean, I won't tell anybody before you.
That's fair
okay.
enough.
Can't imagine
All right.
again.
So
I don't
Oh.
necessarily. At this point, we're playing Russian. Like as we're leaving, and they're not in earshot. Clem just goes, because at this point, if they find out and kick us out of town, this would be the Russian roulette of getting kicked out of towns. Murder, subverting the authority of a government. I mean, honestly.
I
I
really
think
should finish that Jenga set.
Well, so on that note, like, what do you do? First of all, so we can. Do you go back to tell Millie that you changed plans, or
I think we kind of have to.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
expecting you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Clem and Clem will be the one to take the
And
lead position on
Take-
that one.
Maybe you'll frame it.
Okay.
Maybe you can frame it as Kaylee decided to take the risk.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. That I
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
that
That
Clem's-
we thought this would be more risky than we thought, and we didn't want to risk your crops to our experiment.
Yeah.
No, no,
when-
no. This was all. What's this new person's name?
Kaylee.
Kaylee's
Kaylee?
idea.
Yeah.
This is all
Yeah.
Kaylee's
Kaylee-
idea.
Kaylee
Oh,
didn't
okay.
want to
Yeah.
risk her crop.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Millie's crop.
Because if we mess the solution up and the concentration was too much, then it could kill the crops. If it was too little, it wouldn't have no effect. And if the risk would be much better on their crop than Millie's, because it's been here longer. There's more security.
Yeah,
in it.
you're inventing stuff, but fine.
Anyway.
Well, so here's what I'll say to y'all now is that I've known Kaylee a lot longer than all you have. I look, I'll say, given that it sounds like maybe they think that it will work, I'm a little disappointed we're not going to get a patch of ours. But at the same time, serves me right. I was the one who sent you over there, wasn't I? So
Mhm.
it'd be pretty unfair for me to be too mad about you getting paid for the hard work you're doing.
And Clem just goes, that is logical, but it still doesn't feel right to be fair and honest. And
Well,
I've been honest with you since I've come here, so
well, I appreciate that you've got a good heart, Clem. Now, what I'll say is that, you know, if you do what you can, you know, if this does seem like it does work, you know, we'll see if we can't get this done for everybody. And if that happens, you know, whether or not our fields got saved first, if we
Mhm.
save any of the fields in town, that's a big deal.
it's like, and Clem's like, then I'll try to make another spreader so that if and when it does work, you'll have the ability to spread it first before anyone else.
Well, you think I'm going to be getting out in the field and pumping a bellows myself? You think I can do it? And she's like holding
No.
up her tiny little arms.
And Clem's like, absolutely not. That's not your position anymore. But that young strapping son of yours, or grandson of yours, absolutely.
Well, you're probably right about that. In any case, I appreciate your honesty coming back to tell me about it, and you know, don't worry, I don't hold it against you none. You know, honestly, she just thought of paying you before I did, right? So I understand. Folks got to work. Folks got to eat.
He's like, I'm glad you're very understanding. He's like, because honestly, I would have rather tried it here, but if it had failed, which I don't think it will, I would have felt even worse. So,
Sure, sure. Well, you know, like I said, if I'm going to be mad at anyone, I the one who sent you over there. So don't you fret too much about on my account.
and Clem just goes, I wish everyone we encountered in these clearings was as understandable and logical and understanding. Like, this is, to be
She
fair, it's just flabbergasted.
she leans forward and just says, "You know what? I wish that too."
Clem's like,
He's the nicest person we've met in all these clearings so far. by far.
the literal nicest person we've met.
Yeah. I think Clem has a crush.
I can
Just,
feel it.
yeah, just because they haven't run us out of town for murder.
Or anything else for that matter. Murder, theft,
Yeah,
causing trouble.
voluntold assassinations.
Mm,
Right.
right.
Okay, so we have a proof of concept. Now what?
Shall we hang out? And...
Well, yeah, is there anything else you want to do while we're waiting?
Well, Peppa and I did find something interesting. Peppa, would you like to tell the rest of the N team what we found?
Sure. So, you know those big, and I'm assuming that we have moved on from Millie's kitchen.
To
Yeah,
something
I-
else?
I
wherever.
would imagine that you ended up spending way more time in that kitchen than you had any intention of. But
Oh, yeah,
you
absolutely.
eventually did make your way. Yeah, I would say it's like she sent you off with like cornbread, fresh cornbread or something like that. And it's
Cornbread.
it's maybe just after lunch, but you know.
But it's fresh cornbread, so
Yeah.
why do you say no to that?
Mm.
We wouldn't. We're not dumb.
We're not dumb.
But yeah, so the big patches of trees have, they have buildings up there. Arbin and I went over to take a look at one of them, and it's got a door.
That's
It's a hidden
interesting.
door, but it's got a door.
Can we all get to it, or do you have to fly?
Oops.
So the non-flyers would have to take the stairways up that were boarded up, but I mean in principle there is a path to get there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Pop, pop, pop.
I think it's worth exploring. I mean,
Because
what else we
Pika
gonna do? Just wait around?
because that door is, as Pep and I discussed, seems too sophisticated for a
Just
denizen just
Squatting.
basically squatting
Mhm.
there.
No, yeah, yeah.
Which means there's a secret, a mystery, possibly another faction using that house.
I was going to
I
ask.
what's that?
I was going to ask if you thought that someone with nefarious means could be using it, such as our aforementioned Corvid conspiracy.
Well, it being birds, they would be a logical choice. Not necessarily the only choice, but the logical choice for having a little pied à terre. And by the way, when Pep and I well no when Nigel and I went to go to the blacksmith, we were being trailed by corvids.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah. I'm sure they're still around. I'll look around.
So
Well,
Yeah.
so where are you having this conversation? Are you just like
probably at
walking?
the end,
Okay. Yeah.
once behind closed doors.
Well, so what I will say is that once you get back to the inn, as you come in the common room, there's a bunch of people gathered around a table. Someone has a newspaper that came from Clutcher's Creek,
Oh,
and is reading an article to the group there. Apparently, the town of Underleaf, which is on the south side of the river across from Rooston, has been taken by the duchy.
oh, oh boy.
So I'll just
At least it's
back
not,
on the map
at least
again
it's not
briefly.
Sundell.
Yeah, so Rooston and then Underleaf is the one that's there. And
Oh.
previously that had not really been under any particular faction's control, but it is apparently now completely under duchy control.
Hey, that does not give me warm and fuzzies.
No. It would take effort to us to get there without going through Ironbane, though. But-
Well, no, you go through Clutcher's Creek and then you go north
Go
to Underleaf.
Or for that matter, you get to anywhere on the river and there's
Yeah.
docks in Underleaf.
Yeah.
But we'll have to think about that.
And Clem's like, I don't think that Wind Gap or Pinehorn would be places for us to go visit in the meantime.
No,
If it-
no, definitely neither of those are accommodating.
Certainly
Uh,
depends
Which
on what
is-
you want to do anyway.
Well, I worry about our compatriots that saw us off from Wind Gap Refuge.
Yeah, the monks are, yeah, we're glad to see the back of us, and Pinehorn is our bird friends there. So, but we have a more immediate problem. We need to figure out how to work on this blight and get more of this.
Well,
I'm-
I mean, I think we have a solid plan that's underway. We just need to wait on that. I think
Yeah,
a
if
more
it works though,
important thing
then
to
we gotta
talk
figure
about
out. Yeah, go ahead.
is how we can, what do we want to do about this Corvid tail we've got?
The corporate tail obviously is waiting for us to do what we said we would do.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes.
We haven't decided definitively yes or no. Is that correct? He looks around the room.
Mhm.
We have, okay. Well, because we haven't really met this, we haven't taken the measure of this Duke. Count.
Yeah.
Count.
In
I gotta do my brain first.
I heard dupe. DUPE.
That's a. I wasn't quite going for the pun, but it'll work.
well,
I would not necessarily
So-
argue with that,
So-
that phrasing.
We can't go around killing all the corvids in town, as much as that might be tempting. I'll give a glance at Peppa.
In some
But-
respects, that's
Yeah,
kind of how you got
I
in
really
this-
like.
It's how we got in the situation in the first place, by killing corvids in town. So
Well, somebody did.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
so,
to
well-
be fair, it's debatable at best if Rhodia's death would have stopped what happened in the last town, but it's fine. Although I think here,
you're gonna make us remember that for eternity. It's yeah.
yes, I'm slightly petty. But I feel like in this situation, the question becomes, we can either help the Marcusate alleviate the blight, potentially get maybe some reinforcements sent here, because if they've not sent enough people to hold it, then they don't think they can, and that might be based around food and supplies. But if that is fixed, res- resupply support can be sent, and at that point, we could then tell the count of the actions the Corvid conspiracy wishes to take in this town and get a little more friendlier on the
The
Marcus
Marcus
plan.
side,
Yeah,
just as long as she doesn't show up.
She.
because
As long as she doesn't show up. And that's all Auburn will say.
Have we considered just telling the count that, yeah, the people who blew up your fort were the Corvid
Well, see, that was
conspiracy from across the river? And
no, we still don't have
well,
concrete.
well, okay.
evidence.
So here's the thing, right? What my long-term plan is to come up with this cure and hopefully parlay the success of that to meeting the count, because clearly he's got a bad impression of us to start. We need to reverse that. This would be a way to meet him. Then take his measure and find out whether or not he actually is somebody we want to uh, want to
Work with.
work with. And if he is, then we double cross the Corvid conspiracy, tell him, oh, by the way, we were hired to kill you, but we've decided to warn you about it instead. And see where that takes us as an option, but not cross that bridge till we come to it.
okay, so we have considered. At least that is an option on the table. I just wanted to make sure it was an option on the table.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to run off and do that right this very second.
I
You,
mean,
what you should do is sneak in his bedroom window at night.
And whisper in his
Yeah.
ear. Yeah, all those sweet nothings of paranoia and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. No, we don't want to cause that right now.
Yeah. Put a hand over his mouth so he doesn't scream and say, just so you know, I'm not actually here to kill you. I was gonna be, but no.
Yeah.
We could also we could also give them some of your special tea there, Pippa. You were very agreeable when you drank that tea.
Peppa starts patting herself down.
Nigel's stone face.
Don't face Pepamara.
She looks at each one of you
Um,
in turn, doesn't say anything. It's just like, there's a red bag and a blue bag. And if you want to know what they do, you're gonna have to ask me. If you don't want to take the risk. So, just so you know.
Pippa just looks confused and goes, "How many bags of tea did you buy?"
3.
I have lots of questions about what tea represents in that town.
Uh,
Psychoactive chemicals.
It's just very good tea.
it was fantastic tea.
It's
Mhm.
specialized tea. It's infused.
yes.
Well,
It's infused all right.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about your ability to stay awake, because if it's that good and it can keep me awake, I could get so many different things accomplished.
No, you're looking for the other soup. You're looking for the other. I don't think you want either one of those bags.
I mean, it could be good soup.
Well,
But going back to the corporate conspiracy following us and the this secret hideout for somebody. So
I
Shall
am
we-
curious about it, but I'm wondering what we do when we find out who's there, and maybe we get in trouble with someone because we know, and um, I'm just saying, what is the benefit here? Um,
if it is a faction opposed to the Marquisate holding that position, holding it little tree fort, former Erie Dynasty house. He's just rattling off architectural statistics. It stops after about a minute. Sorry. Then the Marquisate would be very interested to know that one of the other factions has a base sitting in the middle of their
That's true.
clearing. So
That's true.
that
Well,
information, in addition to suppose if the crop blight killer works, would be very useful to
Okay,
give hand off to.
that's yeah, that you convinced me. Let's take it. Let's go have a look. It's
It
still
occurs-
it's still daylight.
Yeah,
Is it afternoon like?
I think it's
Okay.
like 1 or 2 in
Oh.
the afternoon.
Okay, let's go.
Anyone have objections?
It just
I-
occurs to me that the people who are going through and chopping down those trees are dismantling the are going to have to dismantle the buildings first, and so if there's someone in there, they don't know about it. It might be a risk.
Well, if they know, then they might evacuate that safe house. If they do know that it's coming, and then we'll lose the opportunity to gain that knowledge to proffer it to authorities or what have you, or for our own use. We could be information brokers by investigating this treehouse. We also could get ourselves into all sorts of trouble, but the fact that somebody built that door and made it clever that I couldn't see that you could, that irks the back of my brain, Peppa, and I want to know more what's behind that door, who did it and why. Because it's not like the Robin sitting in the other treehouse huddling for warmth and shelter in a decaying house. This is something qualitatively different, and I need to know more.
Okay.
We get in trouble a lot, so getting in trouble about finding out something doesn't hamper my curiosity in the least.
No, I'm already convinced. You don't need to convince me again.
No.
Let's go.
All right.
I would just like to make a quick stop before we get there.
Okay.
Oh,
I'd like to go buy a dagger.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's doable if you've got the coin for it.
And so if I get the sharp instead of quick
Hmm.
as a positive
Yep.
tag. Okay. So I have it.
All right. So, what's the plan for approaching this cluster of trees that, while the cluster of trees itself is kind of overgrown and not super well tended, it is nonetheless in the middle of town? So, what's the plan? I mean, you could just walk right up to it, of course.
we could.
I mean, how
We-
about we time it for when there aren't at least any soldiers watching us?
Okay. So,
We could wait till evening, but I think evening might be more likely when there's somebody actually there. They might be out and about doing their business in the middle of the day. So I
Yeah.
think so the balance. I mean, in the evening, but if in the evening, if we're mucking around this tree, we'll definitely be suspicious for sure in a way that we wouldn't in the middle of the day. So but I think you're right. We
Yeah.
wait for a quiet moment, and then I mean, the more suspicious thing is you three going through the berry and the door. I mean, Pepper and I flew up around without any issue because we're birds. It's breaking through the door that's the potentially illegal act.
Nigel,
could
do
get
you
us in
have a
trouble.
clipboard?
Well,
A clipboard? Clipboard.
Clipboard.
I-
If you have a clipboard with papers on it, you can just walk right in and say you have to be there.
Aye.
I blink. I blink blank like well, that actually like an inspection team.
Yeah, they're gonna have to take the building
mean-
down eventually.
So you
Makes
need to
sense
inspect
that
the tray.
that he'd have a clipboard.
And let's be honest, if they don't want to bring suspicion to what they're doing here in the town, and they want to make maybe say the mouse who you saw, tied to the tree, more acceptable, then you could say that you were looking to inspect it to see if it was a healthy tree or whatever. Maybe give them the hope of it not being knocked down.
Oh no, I don't think that there's any
Yeah.
hope on that, but to go and say, okay, well, we've got to inspect it so that we know how to take it down or something. I don't know. I was just trying to think of the easiest solution.
Inspections would probably make us less suspicious at least.
It gives a plausibility for you to be there. Just hopefully they don't push on the illusion too much.
All right.
So I'd imagine as a group, you have made your way to the approximate location where you're able to kind of look across the street and see these trees. But what's next? You're waiting to try to time it so that there's no soldiers. But I think the other thing that does happen though is you realize as you're making your way across town as a group that you do have your magpie tail at the moment.
Of course we do.
Yeah. Wait, don't worry about her. We'll be fine. She's just waiting for us to make our move. And if she comes to ask us what's going on, we can tell her that I'll handle it.
Uh,
Come on, let's go.
all right.
It's-
All right. So I think you don't need to roll to just wait until there's not any soldiers in the immediate vicinity because as previously discovered, they are spread thin. So, so you head over to, inside the base of the trees there. And I think that there's a handful of, people on the street who kind of glance over a little bit, like questioningly, like, what's going on over there? But nobody challenges you on it.
Okay.
In particular, I think what happens is there's someone who looks like they're about to ask, but then Nigel holds up the clipboard and they're like, oh, yeah, okay.
See, there you go.
Well done.
Yeah. So what you do have though here is, first of all, let me describe this stairway in a little bit more detail. This is not an elaborate Rivendell style carve out with all sorts of ornate fancy woodwork because that's not like this is not for the birds who live there. This is like servants' entrance, right? And so
Right.
what it is it is carved into the tree, but it's almost like just a little bit of a groove carved up and around with just the steps just a little bit. So it's pretty narrow. And it can only go like single file, right? There's not room for more
Okay.
than one person abreast. But it's also not going to be like a completely full board that might rot through. It's like carved in. Is
Right.
that everyone have a visual of that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep,
However, it does have like at sort of the entrance to it, as I mentioned, there's a little bit of like a frame that covers like where you would actually walk in that is boarded up. So if you would have to either take that down or probably a bit easier is to just kind of go around and climb up a few feet to get
climb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Climb past it. Yeah,
right.
we'll do
and
that.
so no roll necessary for that. However, again, these stairs have not been well maintained, and even though they're not like you're not dealing with like a
Ready to
rotting
collapse.
suspension bridge or anything like that. There are certainly places where the like the bark has kind of regrown in a way that makes some stairs uneven, or like there's some places where like it regrew and then sort of flaked away, and so some of it's a little bit unsteady and everything like that. So I think
Mhm.
as you're going up these stairs, first of all, I would imagine that Arbin and Peppa are flying nearby, but not actually using the stairs. Would be my
Yeah,
guess.
that's correct. Also gives us a better view if someone, if trouble is approaching us, it gives us a better view to see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's have Lancelot make a trust fate
Okay.
roll for the group, unless someone has. Well, let's see, because I think I'm not sure there's a roguish feat that really is necessary here, because you're not really sneaking, and it's not really
Well,
well. So if there's trouble, we'll say.
acrobatics is, acrobatics
would
includes
like
deftly
if
climbing.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, but
So
so,
yeah, I
but I
suppose.
don't think any of us have that.
Well,
Yeah.
Arbin does and Peppa does, but they're not the ones.
Yeah.
We're
doing
the
it.
ones
They're
doing
the
it.
ones we don't. They're the ones in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will roll. I will roll.
Trust
Roll
fate
trust
for
fate.
the
Clint's not
three of you.
sneaky. He's not sneaky.
Rolled a 6 plus 2 is 8.
Okay, so I think that there are a couple of moments, especially with Clem, because this thing is so narrow that there's just places where like the width of your shell is such that it's scraping along the side of the tree as you go, and there are places where you kind of have to be walking just on the outermost edge of the stairs because it's like you
That
just like
narrow,
you're just too wide for what these stairs were designed for.
You hear Clem mumble every so often. I'm gonna have to buff that out.
Yeah. Well, for that matter, I'm going to go ahead and have this minor cost be 1 box of wear on your shell, if you don't mind, Clem. But sure enough, I think as you're starting to make your way up, Arbin, I would imagine you're keeping an eye on the tail, and there is,
Yep.
as it's clear that you're going up those stairs, you do catch a look at them, and they're looking irritated, and then they fly away.
Be irritated.
Mm-hmm.
We're not killing your count
Yeah.
yet, anyway.
Well, so wherever they fly away, you don't see.
Yeah, yeah. I'm more concerned about the local area, especially if Gendarmes show up.
Sure, sure. In any case, I think that fortunately these stairs are like the main tree is a little ways into this clump, so it's not easily visible from the street in any case. So you all make it up to the base platform for the actual house proper, and there's actually kind of like sometimes you have those beach houses that are up on stilts, and you have sort of part of it that's at the lowest level, but then the actual main floor of the house is a little elevated. It's kind of like that, meaning the first entrance, which looks like it might have been a servant's entrance, is the first one you come to from the stairs, but then there's some stairs that go up and around to where the main front door is, and that's where presumably it would be the easiest for visiting birds or birds who live there to land and go in the main door. But in any case, the secret entrance that Peppa had observed is actually further up and will require a bit of climbing up the outside because it's a secret passage that looks designed to be used by flyers.
Yeah, that's the impression that I got.
All right, so I guess what I'm going to put to you here is those stairs were narrow and probably not a lot of fun to climb, but they were stable enough. But now you're talking about having to climb up, a story and a half of the outside of a rotting house, way up in the top of a tree. So my question to you now then is, how are you going to go about doing that?
How about
How about I stay down here?
I would like to spend a point of depletion to assume that I have a rope.
Sure.
and hand the rope to Peppa. Say, could you fly over to that window and maybe tie it off for us so that we can have something secure to grab onto while we make our way over there?
Sure thing,
Um,
boss.
yeah.
And, thank you kindly, and I will tie it off where we are, and that's going to be our means of getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, means of ascent.
Mhm.
So does that mean Peppa is going inside to try to tie it off to something inside? Or trying to tie it to something on the outside of the house?
I think trying to tie it to something on the outside of the house.
A branch or something like that.
Yeah, a branch or something if I can find one that's sturdy enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I think so. The trick is that there's going to be branches that are sturdy enough, but are they in the right place that a rope tied to them is going to take you to where you need to be, right?
right.
So let's have you roll cunning. Maybe we can go ahead and have it be a read a tense situation roll, kind of with this kind of in mind.
Okay.
This is tense. This
Yeah.
is tense.
This is
Mhm.
very tense.
Yeah.
You're up very high. Like I think, to be sure, we're already a world where you've got giant insect livestock. So I think we're imagining you're, you know, at least 5 or 6 stories worth of tree in
Yeah.
the air.
Yeah.
Right.
High enough that a drop is going to be a major problem.
Yeah.
I rolled a 7.
Okay. So what that means is that you get to ask one of those questions, and the question could be, like, what's the best thing to tie this rope to?
Yeah, that is absolutely my question. What is the best thing to tie this rope to securely?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the best way through?
Yeah. So I think that what you find is that you don't think that there's any part of the house that you really, really want to trust
Yeah.
to this, just because it's hard to assess that sort of thing, especially from the outside.
Yeah. That was
but-
actually kind of my thought was I mean the whole thing is rotting.
Sure. But I think that you are able to find a branch that is a bit above the the top of the house, where if you have the rope go over that and then hang down, you can have it hanging down, not right against the window, but close enough that
Fairly
you can
close.
kind of swing over to it a bit.
Okay.
All right. Well, how about like tie it to that branch and then hang down from there, and we'll see about climbing over there.
Yeah. So what this will require is that you need to either climb all the way up to the branch and then down the side that goes close to the house, or try to switch, without
Yeah.
going all the way up.
Either way, I don't have the skill, so I'm trusting fate. So I'll go first.
Okay. Now, to some extent, you do get a +1 when acting on the answers that technically would be Peppa's, but I think in this context, the +1 is on the basis of her having found the right place to attach the
Right.
rope, right?
Right. Yeah, because she didn't need it. All right.
Yeah.
So, +3. Every session, these dice betray me at least once.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Betrayed.
Snake eyes should only come up once out of 36 tries, but this is coming up more like once every 10 or
Mhm.
12. In any case, just rolled snake eyes. The total is
Yeah.
5.
Right.
Um,
So here's the thing, is that if you had 2 people help you by marking
I
exhaustion,
could get it to 7.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will help.
Peppa!
I will fly down.
Yeah.
I will fly down and grab him by the back of his shirt and haul him
And,
back
and,
up.
and I will help do that. So yeah, I will fly as well, so that I'll
Yeah.
mark possession as
So
well.
I think that do you think that you were trying to switch from the
I was
one-
trying to switch from one rope to the other and kind of lost my grip on the one and didn't quite have a good grip on the other. I'm dangling down at the bottom.
Well, what I was going to
and-
suggest is that, like, when trying to climb over the branch and switch over, you end up with the thing where you're hanging upside down with the rope around your ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But fortunately, did Arbin and Peppa both mark exhaustion? On
Yes.
your behalf? Okay, so I think they are able to each grab one of your hands and kind of swing you over to where you can be like kind of hanging. So Peppa, would you have like held open this window?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think if you
And-
I think you discover that the whole thing just swings on a hinge.
Hmm.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so you were able to, the two of you are able to deposit Lancelot in through the window.
That's harder than it should have
Yeah.
been.
Which I think what you discover as soon as you catch your breath there, Lancelot, is that when you do that sigh, whew, you create a big cloud of dust, and you realize that this room is absolutely just full of dust and decay, and it's again like there's not nice things left, even left to decay. People took the stuff that had any value a long time ago,
Right.
People
Yeah.
have been
Yeah.
through here. It's not
Yeah.
it's not
Huh.
like something where this is not the Great Expectations house, right? Where
Right.
Miss
Right.
Haversham's,
No. Yeah.
but
But
in,
I'm like,
but
this
you
is weird.
but you do find, though, you realize that right by the entrance, right by the window, there's
Oh,
a
okay.
cleared path. It's
Uh-huh.
just
Okay.
the rest of the room is dusty.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I am gonna have a look around and see if I can.
Well, are you gonna start looking around before you wait for your, your friends to come in there with
Well,
you?
no, I was gonna kind of lean back out the window and it's like, that's that's a lot. Do you want to come in here too? It's maybe we don't want to risk everybody over here because there's not a lot to look at.
Well, or for that matter, now that someone's inside, they could go around and
Yeah.
And open
like
the door.
for that matter, one of the flying people could have done that, but
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
Climbing is good for the soul.
like,
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just like, I think I'm glad you're here.
mhm.
Glad you made it though.
All right. Yeah. Well, is the door boarded up or locked
Well,
or?
so like the room that you're in right now, it
Mhm.
looks like it
Yeah.
was probably a bedroom, and so the door is
Okay.
off of its hinges, so you can see into the hallway there. It's dark because
Yeah.
everything's boarded up, right? You
Yeah.
can see reasonably well enough to see like the shape of the room and all that.
And there's probably like sunlight, there's
A
some
little
light
bit
coming in
coming
through
in
cracks
through-
in the field.
Right, a little bit
through the
here and
roof.
there. There's certainly coming in through the open window that you're at, but also like at this point, you're not being quiet, right? There's no quiet.
No,
You're
yeah,
just
that's
yelling.
yeah.
Right. So I think what you can see from where you are right now is that there is a path where the dust has kind of been cleared away that leads right into the hallway. The rest of the room seems untouched.
Okay, yeah. You know what? I'm still gonna. If anybody else is gonna join me, I'm gonna wait for them.
I'm gonna go with you. I think two's people is
Okay.
probably better,
Well,
safer
so
than one.
what are
Alright.
Nigel and Clem doing?
Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Uh,
keep an eye out to see if anybody noticed the noise
Okay.
and is coming to investigate or coming just in general ingressing into this place with us.
Okay. So you're gonna stay outside and just kind of watch for.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
'Cause
Is there
he's
a,
little bit too.
you said that there is a door that could possibly be opened from the
Well, no,
stairs?
so
Or
no, there are doors, but everything is boarded up. The whole
Okay.
point here is that everything has been boarded up except for one window where it's fake boarded up.
okay.
So
Yeah,
I think
probably-
you can poke around the door and discover that those are not in fact fake boarded up, but actually boarded up. So
It's
I mean,
probably
it's not to say
be-
boards couldn't be removed. It's just
it'd probably be trust fate to for Nigel too, right? Since it doesn't have acrobatics or anything.
what, to try to pull the boards off the door, or
No,
you mean
climb.
to climb? Yeah, that would be a trust fate also. Yeah.
Okay. Gonna try climbing.
Okay. I thought we're so Clem's staying outside. Nigel's climbing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Ha. That is a 5.
Okay.
Oh,
I
God.
think-
I mean, Peppa and Arbin are right there. They can make that a 7.
I would definitely be willing to make that a 7.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do.
Okay.
That's what happened with so that's what happened with Lancelot too, right? So
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
it
Yeah,
occurs to
same.
me, Lancelot, that you should probably mark exhaustion for your whole little.
Well, how about this? How about if I'm one of the people who helps Nigel and I'll mark exhaustion for that?
Okay, but what I'm saying is that getting it to
Oh.
a 7 for your trust fate roll should still have a cost for you.
Oh, okay, fine. Yes,
So-
got it.
So
Exhaustion marked.
now you can also be one of the people to do it now for Nigel.
Yeah,
But
I will do that.
yeah.
Okay. so-
But I think in this context, having a cost for doing what you're doing, exhaustion feels like the obvious one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so make sure you mark exhaustion, Nigel, and then we have 2 being marked for, I guess, Arbin and Lancelot.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Nigel, you, I think it's not quite as dramatic as Lancelot's rescue, but I think that there's just a moment of, you get to a certain point where you're feeling like I cannot take even a hand off of what where I'm holding right now, or else I'm just gonna slide right back down. But fortunately, Arbin and Lancelot together are able to
Yes.
hoist you up
Yeah.
into the window.
I know that feeling very well personally
Hmm.
in real life.
All right, so I think that as are Arbin and Peppa both going to come in through the window as well? So do we have everyone
Yeah.
inside, or is someone else waiting outside with Clem?
I think I'll wait outside with Clem.
Buddy system, probably good
Yeah.
idea.
So 3 in, 2 out.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 flyer with each group.
Yeah, that's a good division of skills.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I suggest that we do not stand too close together as we're making our way across this floor, just to be safe. So,
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and offer that our sort of closing beat for this session is going to be you just saying that to the group, and then you go to take 1 step across the room, and it just goes, and it's just like, oh, okay, that's 1 step.
One
One step for
for a fox.
Yeah.
One giant leap for N team.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're going to leave it there actually for tonight. But good job, everyone. Let's talk about drives. So, Nigel, once again, you still have ambition and development. I think that neither of those would be progressing this time, but as I think we've discussed, that solving the blight would certainly count for development.
Yep.
Arbin have got Folk Hero and Wanderlust. I don't think either of those would be qualifying this evening. Lancelot, you've got Wanderlust and Anti-Militarist.
Yep, not for me this
Yeah,
time.
and same for Peppa. You know, just as a note, remember, you guys, you can change those out if you feel like there's one that you think might be more likely to be.
I
Yeah, next-
actually just really like those two.
Oh, fair enough.
Uh,
Fair enough. I'm just reminding
yeah.
you that that is an allowed mechanic.
Yeah.
Is you can change one out if you think there's
Yeah.
something else
Yeah.
that's more likely to be. So and then Clem
It
has
doesn't fit, yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't advance this session, but generally speaking,
Mhm.
they're working.
Yeah.
And
Clem.
he's currently in the middle of a mystery.
Yeah, so figuring out what's going on with these houses counts as a mystery. So yeah, I think if once you guys understand that, that will count, but not this time. So
That's all-
sounds like no advancements this time, but remember, everyone, you can you can swap various things out as needed. But in the meantime, we will find out what's going on in these old rotten houses. And also, will the blight cure work? We hope so. Let's find out next week when we return for more Root, the role-playing game on so many levels.
Yay!
So many levels.
Yay.